The paper was folded in half, with one corner bent like someone had done it quickly. It was sitting right there on my locker door, held by a single strip of tape. At first I thought it was a flyer, maybe a notice from the school office. But when I pulled it off and felt the weight of the paper, I knew it was different. The handwriting. I froze. I knew it from somewhere. Neat, careful, like each letter had been drawn instead of written. My chest tightened. I'd seen it before, on birthday cards from years ago, on old notes tucked into my school books. But this was impossible. It wasn't signed. No name. Just 7 words written in blue ink. Don't trust who smiles at you. I looked around. The hallway was full, but no one seemed to be watching me. Still, I felt eyes on my back. I shoved the note into my bag and tried to keep my face neutral. All morning I couldn't focus. I kept replaying the moment, the handwriting, the weight in my hand. By lunchtime I was shaking. That handwriting. It belonged to someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Someone who wasn't supposed to be here anymore. And if it really was from them, then the warning wasn't just strange. It was dangerous. I couldn't eat at lunch. The cafeteria was too loud, the air too heavy. My friends laughed and talked, but I barely heard them. I kept glancing over my shoulder, scanning faces, wondering if the person who wrote the note was here, watching me right now. Halfway through lunch, I pulled the note from my bag and stared at it again. The loops in the letters, the way the lowercase t was crossed a little too high. It was the same style I had seen when I was 15, in notes slipped into my locker from Ethan. Ethan, who used to be my closest friend. Ethan, who had disappeared after that fight with my brother. Ethan, who left town and never said goodbye. But Ethan wouldn't be here. Would he? The thought made my stomach twist. I stuffed the note back and told my friends I had to go to the library. I didn't go to the library. I went to the back corridor near the old gym, where the security cameras didn't reach. I needed quiet. I needed to think. That's when I saw him. Tall, hood pulled over his head, leaning against the wall like he'd been waiting for someone. His head tilted up just slightly when he saw me. My heart skipped. I hadn't seen those eyes in almost a year. Ethan. My voice cracked. He didn't smile. He didn't say hello. Instead, he stepped closer and whispered, "You still talk to him, don't you?" I froze. "Who?" "Don't play dumb," he said, his jaw tight. "The one you think is your friend. The one who's been smiling in your face." I wanted to ask more, but footsteps echoed from the hallway. Ethan backed away, pulling his hood lower. "You need to stop talking to him," he said quickly. "If you don't..." He didn't finish the sentence. He just turned and slipped out the side door. My knees felt weak. I stood there for a full minute trying to process what just happened. If Ethan was here, if he left me that note, then the warning was real. And the person he was talking about was someone I saw every single day. I left the corridor with my head buzzing, my palms damp. The warning kept repeating in my head like a stuck song. Don't trust who smiles at you. And Ethan's voice, low and urgent, wouldn't leave my ears. The hallways felt different now. Every familiar face was suddenly a mask I wasn't sure about. My brain went over everyone I talked to daily. My best friend Mia, who always saved me a seat in class. Mr. Jordan, the history teacher who gave me extra help. Tyler, the boy from my math group who was always cracking jokes. And then there was Alex. Alex. The thought made my stomach tighten in a way I didn't like. Alex had been everywhere lately, in the cafeteria, walking home the same way as me, hanging out near my locker. He was always smiling. Always saying nice things. But now that I thought about it, those smiles had a way of lingering a second too long, like he was waiting for me to believe something. And then I remembered. Last week my phone had gone missing from my bag for half an hour. I found it in the lost and found box. I thought I dropped it. But when I checked later, a new app had been installed. A messaging app one never downloaded. My skin prickled. The rest of the school day was a blur. I couldn't focus in class. I kept catching Alex looking at me across the room in biology. His mouth curled into that same easy grin. Each time my chest felt tighter. After school I decided to test something. I walked toward the bus stop like normal, but halfway there, I ducked into the corner store instead. I pretended to browse snacks, then stepped outside and stood by the side of the building watching. and there he was. Alex walked past the store slowly, scanning the sidewalk. He was looking for me. My pulse thudded in my ears. When he didn't see me, he took out his phone and typed quickly, then turned back the way he came. I waited until he was gone before I walked home, this time taking the long route through the back streets. That night I couldn't sleep. The shadows in my room felt heavier than usual. Every sound outside made me sit up. Finally, I pulled the note from my bag again and stared at the familiar handwriting. The careful curves of each letter, the slant to the right, it was Ethan's. No question. If Ethan had come back to warn me, then something was seriously wrong. But why didn't he just tell me everything? Why be so vague? The next morning I made up my mind. I had to find him. If anyone had answers, it was Ethan. I skipped homeroom and went straight to the back corridor again. First it was empty. The smell of dust and old paint filled the air. I was about to give up when I heard a voice from behind me. "You shouldn't be here." I turned and there he was, hood-up eyes scanning the hallway. "You scared me," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "What is going on? Who am I not supposed to trust?" Ethan hesitated, glancing toward the door. "Alex," he said finally. "I've been following him for weeks. He's not who he says he is." I swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" "He's been pretending to be a student. He's older. He's been talking to people he shouldn't. I saw him outside your house 2 nights ago." My breath caught. "You're lying." "I wish I was," Ethan said quietly. "That's why I left the note. You need to stay away from him." I shook my head, half in disbelief, half in fear. "Why are you even here, Ethan? You just disappeared." He looked down. "I can't explain everything yet. Just promise me you'll be careful." Before I could answer, footsteps echoed nearby. Ethan grabbed my arm, his grip firm. "If you see him smile at you again, remember it's not kindness. It's a trap." And just like yesterday, he slipped out the side door, leaving me with more questions than answers. I stood frozen, my heart racing. Now it wasn't just about a strange note or a warning, it was about safety. My safety. And deep down, I knew Ethan was telling the truth. Because that same afternoon, Alex was waiting for me by my locker, with a smile that suddenly felt like the most dangerous thing in the world. The hallway was buzzing with the usual after-school chaos. Lockers slamming, voices echoing, sneakers squeaking against the floor, but all I could hear was the pounding in my ears. Alex stood there, leaning casually against my locker, the way people do in movies when they want to look harmless. Only now, after Ethan's warning, I saw it for what it was, a performance. "Hey," he said, voice light, almost playful. "Didn't see you after class today." I forced a small smile, my mind scrambling. "Yeah, I wasn't feeling great." His eyes flicked over me, scanning my face. "You should have told me. I would have walked you home." Every cell in my body screamed no. I kept my tone steady. "That's okay. I'll be fine." But instead of leaving it there, he stepped closer, too close. "I like making sure you're fine," he said, and something in his voice made my stomach turn. I remembered Ethan's words. "If you see him smile at you again, remember it's not kindness. It's a trap." I could smell the faint trace of his cologne, too strong for a teenager. The gold watch on his wrist caught the light. Another detail I'd ignored until now. No normal high school student wore something like that casually. I tightened my grip on my bag and shifted sideways, trying to create space. "I have to go." "Sure," he said, stepping back just enough, but his smile didn't fade. "See you around." I didn't look back. Once outside, I called Mia. My voice was shaky as I told her to meet me at the coffee shop instead of walking home alone. She didn't ask why, but when she saw me, her eyes narrowed. "What's going on?" she asked. I told her everything, the note, seeing Ethan, the warning about Alex. Mia listened, her hands wrapped tightly around her coffee cup. "That's creepy," she said finally. "But are you sure? Maybe Ethan's just—" "Mia, I know what I saw," I cut in. "And I felt it. He's been watching me." We decided to test it. The next day, Mia would stick close to me, and we'd see if Alex showed up in unexpected places. It didn't take long. By lunch, he'd coincidentally been near my locker twice, passed by our table in the cafeteria, and stood by the water fountain just as we were leaving the gym. Every time that smile. Mia's face paled. Okay, she whispered. You're right. That night I couldn't shake the fear. I kept the blinds closed, jumped at every sound outside. My phone buzzed around 10 p.m. An unknown number. Why are you avoiding me? My blood ran cold. I didn't reply, but a minute later another message came. I can help you. You just have to trust me. The next day I went looking for Ethan. He wasn't in the back corridor. Not by the side door. I was about to give up when I spotted him across the street from school, leaning against a lamppost like he'd been waiting for me. You were right, I said the moment I reached him. He's following me. What do I do? Ethan's jaw tightened. I've been collecting proof. Messages, photos, times he's been near you. I think he's planning something. I swallowed hard. Like what? I don't know yet. But you need to be ready. We spent the next week careful, subtle. Ethan taught me how to spot someone tailing me, how to vary my routes home. He said the fewer people I told, the safer I'd be. Then came the night that changed everything. I'd stayed late at school for a project, walking home alone under the streetlights. Halfway down my street, I heard footsteps behind me. Slow. Even. I sped up. They sped up. I glanced back. Alex. His hands were in his pockets, his face calm like this was just a casual walk. You forgot something at school, he called out, voice carrying easily in the quiet. I didn't, I said, forcing my voice not to shake. He chuckled softly. Don't be scared. That's when Ethan stepped out from behind a parked car, his phone raised. I think she told you to stay away. Alex froze for half a second, then bolted the other way. Ethan grabbed my arm. Go home. Lock the doors. I'll handle the rest. The police were at my house within the hour. Ethan had already given them everything. The messages, the photos, even proof that Alex wasn't enrolled at our school at all. They found out he'd been using a fake name, moving from place to place, looking for someone to target. When it was over, the relief came in waves, but so did the reality. I'd been walking next to danger for weeks, smiling back at it without knowing. Ethan left again not long after, saying he had to keep moving. But this time I understood. And every time I pass my locker now I think about that note. About how sometimes the smallest warnings are the loudest truths.